Hey guys, welcome to the clubhouse. I'm Billy Jackson, and today's review is going to be on The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 5. I'm real divided on this episode. I liked a lot of parts of it, and I did not like a lot of parts of it. Let me get to first what I did not like about it. First of all, it felt kind of just episodic to me. Kind of like last week's episode. They just wanted to tell this one-off story, and here this was another one-off story. It didn't progress the overall Mandalorian story for me. It didn't get into any kind of character development on anyone. They introduced a couple of characters and then just killed them off. And but the end, which I'll get to, is I think a big Easter egg, and I loved the very last second of this episode. That being said, what I didn't like about it, you know, and what I said before, about it feeling like it was episodic, like last week's episode. In last week's episode, I did not like at all. And is because the first three episodes felt like they were going on an uphill trajectory, just getting better and better and better. And then the fourth one kind of went on a downhill. And this one felt like downhill. It's definitely better than last week's, but I still felt like it wasn't as good as the first three. And that was kind of disappointing. I didn't like the acting involved in the new characters that we got. You get the starport lady, the big frizz, and calling out the carbon scoring. Just like this whole episode is one big Easter egg, and I'll get to why I like that in a second. But I didn't like her acting. I thought it felt cheesy. It didn't feel like Star Wars to me. And then you get to this new bounty hunter, or the guy trying to get into the guild. And, the Mandalorian goes into the Mos Eisley bar, which I'll get to why I loved all that in a second. But he meets this guy who just happens to be there, just like last episode. They just happen to go to this planet where people just happen to need them. He walks into the one bar in the galaxy where somebody needs them, and he ends up helping them out, to find this assassin. And something strange to me, why are you going after an assassin without your assassination rifle? Why didn't he take his pulse rifle on this mission? I didn't understand that at all. But that maybe it would have been too easy for him. He just would have, sniped her, and the show would have been over. So I get it, but still, it didn't make any sense to me for that character. Now, and the Tusken Raider scene, I didn't like it the first time I watched it, and I didn't like it the second time I watched it, just because I didn't like how it was filmed. It felt like they were on a stage and we were on a set. And you could tell the green screen behind them, and the fact that they just popped out of the sand out of nowhere, without even like coming up on them or anything. I just felt it just felt real clunky to me and out of place. But the one thing I did like about that scene was the fact that the Mandalorian happened to know a sign language that they can communicate with, and I thought that was awesome. I love that. I love that they didn't just come up and attack him. They were willing to negotiate. Hey, you're on our land. If you want to be here, you need to trade something. And he traded it, and then they allowed them to pass. So I thought that was really cool. An interesting dynamic to the whole Tusken Raider, or Sand People, if you want to call them, kind of, exploring their dynamic between other people of the world. But anyway, so I did like it, and I didn't like it at the same time. I'm not trying to contradict myself. I'm just saying, there are parts about it I liked, parts about it that I didn't like. Now, let me get to what I loved about this episode, is that I'm a huge Easter egg fan. I love watching in movies, something that they put in just for the fans. This whole episode was nothing but one big Easter egg. I don't know if you noticed, but when the ship first flies in on Tatooine, which we get Tatooine, love that planet. It's my favorite planet in Star Wars. But anyway, when he's flying down, it's the same shot in A New Hope when the Star Destroyer is coming down on the Corvette. At the very beginning of the movie, right after the crawl. And I loved that. I noticed it right off the bat. I thought that was really cool. Of course, the lady mentions carbon scoring. Then he goes to the Mos Eisley Cantina, which in the original movie they wouldn't even serve droids. Now droids are serving everybody. So I think that's because Jabba's rule was now over because he got killed in Return of the Jedi, and things got turned around a little bit in that town. So I understand it. I got it. Just felt a little weird. And then you have Han Solo, or not Han Solo, the guy who is the Han Solo of this episode, sitting in Han Solo's seat and kind of trying to act like Han Solo until he's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get into the guild. Then he was kind of, foolishly acting, I thought. I didn't like his acting performance at all. And then then they go off to, find this assassin, which I liked all that stuff. I loved them on the speeder bikes. I liked it when they're traveling in the dark and shooting the flares up and the sniper's trying to hit him and hits his ship. I like that he gets nailed a couple of times by the sniper rifle, but his Beskar armor saves him because of the range, but at closer ranges he might not have survived. So I loved all that stuff. It's just that, and at the beginning, I loved the beginning of this episode with the starfighter fight, and that was awesome. But I wish he kind of wouldn't get his butt whooped all the time. This is the Mandalorian. This is what the show is all about, and I want to see him kick more butt. But it seems like he's kind of learning how to be a bounty hunter. But I don't know, in some instances, like in episode 3, it showed how his prowess as a bounty hunter, how he took out those stormtroopers. But anyway, that's me nitpicking everything. Overall, I thought it was an okay episode. I loved all the callbacks. To Boba Fett. They're no good to me dead line from Straight Out of Empire Strikes Back, which I will get to the final scene, guys. I don't know if you know, I'm a huge Boba Fett fan, so I know almost everything about him. I love that character. Now, when the assassin's laying there dead, at the end, and that guy comes walking up, and you hear the spurs, or at least the sound that makes is kind of similar to spurs, the clanking as he walks, and then kneels down to the character, and then the episode ends. Go back to The Empire Strikes Back and fast forward to the scene where they're at the dinner table, and Han Solo shoots his blaster at Darth Vader, and he blocks it and, grabs it from him. And Boba Fett comes around the corner. Boba Fett has that same noise. Clink, clink, clink. It's almost identical to it. So, guys, I'm calling it. This is my prediction. I think that was Boba Fett that knelt down to that lady, to the assassin. And I hope it is, because they're teasing that there's some mystery villain that's going to be on the final episode. And we only have 3 left. And, Boba Fett was last seen in the Sarlacc pit getting eaten. Hopefully he survived, and I think he did. On Tatooine. Now they're on Tatooine, and he just happens to be there. So I'm calling it. I think it's Boba Fett. I hope it's Boba Fett. But guys, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be Boba Fett? It could be Cad Bane. If you're a fan of the Clone Wars animated series, Cad Bane was one of the prominent bounty hunters in that show, and it could have been him, and it might be. But me, personally, I'm hoping, and I think that it is Boba Fett. But, guys, those are my thoughts on the episode. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like my videos and subscribe to my channel. And as always, make yourself happy every day. And the only way to do that is to remember, the only thing stopping you is you stopping. Bam!